talking about Canada Helps. And
Perfect.
The Canada Helps button on the diocesan website. It's the way you can support the diocese.
That's right. It's a great way to do it. It's easy, and it's easy to set up for anybody.
You can set it up for your church too. It's free of charge to set up. It has a per transaction charge, and you can have it on your website too. So that's one way that you can support the diocese or church online, easy as can be. There's another thing over here. I was just looking at our diocese credit card terminal here. And you guys use that all the time, eh?
That's right. It can be used at any place, can be set up, and you just process the cards right through
Through that, so that's like making donations or payments?
donations or payments.
So that's another thing your church could do.
So convenient.
Yeah, so thanks, Jen. There's a lot of ways we can support the diocese or support the church.
Excellent.
And so we wanted to think a bit about that because it's September, and this is a really good time to think about stewardship. Early in September can often be the freak-out time of the year in the church. So we've come off a long summer, people were away, and you may be aware that you're falling behind in your finances. And rather than freaking out about that, see that as an opportunity to communicate about the financial position of the church and invite people into financial generosity. And there are a lot of ways that you can do that. And I want to encourage you to think about planning a 6-week campaign. Right now is the time to plan a 6-week stewardship campaign that you can launch in October at Thanksgiving and run for about 5 to 6 weeks. Then it's over by the end of the church year. Stewardship campaign is a way of communicating to your congregation, not just the financial picture of the church, but of inviting them into supporting that with their time and also their financial generosity. Some of the things you need to put together for a stewardship campaign are things like a narrative budget and some kind of letter or a bulletin or a brochure inviting people into the life of the church and thinking about how they can support it, and a pledge form so that they can indicate their level of support they want to give for the church. We also want to help them by giving them different ways of supporting the church, because people support the church in a number of different ways. And one of those could be through having a terminal like this in your church. Something to think about. There are running costs with that. That's possible. It's also possible to have a tap and go option in your plate that you pass around. But you want to encourage people towards going on automated forms of giving because it makes it so much easier for them. I've got a colleague who has 3 forms of automated giving in his church. He's got envelopes, PAR Pre-authorized remittance, and also the Push Pay app that he's using. And what he's found is that it's almost kind of by different age groups. It works out so that people of the older demographic have been using envelopes because they're used to writing checks every week. People in the more middle demographic also use checks, are happy with PAR, Pre-authorized remittance. So that's really great for the church because it's free to set up and has just a per transaction cost. And also the younger one, sort of demographic, people in their 20s and 30s, are using Push Pay, which is app-based. That is a monthly charge, but he's got about 13 or 14 people on that, and it's paying for itself, and it's just making it more possible for them to support the church financially, because younger people today don't write checks, but they do know how to use phones. Or your church could also use Canada Helps, and you end up with a support this church button right on your website. And it's, again, free to set up, per transaction charge, but it makes it really easy for people to support your church whenever they want to. So think about a stewardship campaign beginning in October, because right now is a great time to do that. You've got lots of good stories to share, lots of stuff that you're doing in your church. Everything's beginning anew for the fall. So it's a great time not just to say, gee, we have a financial problem, but to tell a story about how much your church is doing and all the good news stories around your church. So if you want any more information about that, just comment on this video and we can be in touch. So thanks very much.
Thanks so much to you, Neil. That was really, really helpful.
Great. Have a good day.
And you.